Hi there, welcome to today's session. Right, so as usual, we'll get started by looking at the markets over here, highlight some of the opportunities available. Okay, and then from there, I'll see if you guys have any questions. We'll talk about those as well and answer as many questions as we can for today. Okay, so let's get started with the dollar index, right? And a little bit of a quick overview on the movement in market so far. So last week we did have the NFP, right? And with NFP release, we did see the dollar actually sell off quite significantly. You can see over here, that's a huge impulsive move on the 4-hour time frame. That's actually the reaction from NFP itself. Market came down towards a 50% Fibonacci and currently kind of a little bit of a reaction from there. Okay, but with that kind of impulsive drop going into this week here, if we get a corrective development, okay, we will still expect one more push, right? Maybe retest back at where the 618 is. Okay, so for this week's focus, we are gonna probably look at bearish opportunity in terms of the dollar index. Okay, and over here, if we can get some sort of a pullback, towards the fair value gap area, okay, that would definitely present a very nice sell trade setup, right? Now, obviously, on the dollar index, we seldom trade it directly. So if you kind of bring the attention towards the euro or the pound dollar, we may have a short-term buy opportunity within this week, right? There are two of this pair has setups developing already. Okay, if you're kind of following the model on SMC, there are setups on both. So euro dollar, right? So you can see here in the 4-hour time frame, we had that impulsive push, okay, from NFP. So if you can get some sort of a corrective pullback over here, then we can expect one more push back towards the 618 zone, right? So that will put us around the target point at 1.1640. Okay, so if I bring it to the lower time frame, right, on euro dollar, on the hourly, you can see that we have a very nice little low liquidity sweep, right, where the market actually take out that low. But of course, with NFP coming in last week, you can see that price reverses very, very sharply. Okay, breaking above those previous swing points. Right, so that's where right now, if we can get some sort of a pullback towards 1.1460, that would present an opportunity for us to look for the buy, right? Now, if you set this up, okay, basically your invalidation, your stop loss will be where that previous swing low is, okay, and your target, if you're being a little bit more conservative, just aim where that previous swing high is, right? That will give you a risk reward 1:2. If you want to go for extended target, you can actually look up for the 618 on the higher time frame, which is around 1.1640, right? So if you kind of extend that a little bit, 1.1640, we put it there. That's an extra 0.6, ratio. Okay. Yeah. So again, depending on whether you want to go for the extended target or just aim for the conservative one over here. Okay, so this one here, this setup, potentially you want to keep an eye on because there's a good chance we'll get involved in it within the week, right? Of course, given if the market continues to pull back towards our entry point. Okay. The other setup here that you can look up for, which is very, very similar, is the pound dollar, right? So pound dollar, if you take a look, we had that push up here as well. So if you can get a corrective pullback, we can expect one more push towards the 50 and 618 on the higher time frame. Again, this one here, if you look at the confluence, you can see that there are many structures there as well. So definitely we'll expect some sort of reaction once price reach this zone. Okay, so short term, if again I go down to the lower time frame, okay, you can see similarities between the setup on this plus the euro. Okay, so same thing here. Okay, we have the liquidity sweep, right, and then a very sharp push here. Market took out that high here as well, so a pullback would give us a buy trade setup. Okay, So this one here pretty similar. If price can pull back towards 1.32, all right, our invalidation would be where that swing low is. Then of course conservative target is this high, and then if you want to go for extended, it will be slightly higher, right? So again, if you're looking at the major pairs, right, both the euro and the pound, the overall direction and the setup, it's pretty similar. So if you are looking from a risk perspective, then you want to also factor in your exposure on that. Right? Meaning if you're gonna take and execute both trades concurrently, you want to consider, are you overly exposed on the dollar in terms of market correlation? And alternatively here is you can actually just take one of this, okay? Instead of like taking both the euro and the pound, you just take and execute one trade. Okay, so that's on the euro and the pound. Something I'm looking out for within the week as well. I think the setups are likely gonna get us the opportunity to be trading in. Okay. Then moving on to the Aussie. Okay, Aussie dollar here, I would be a little bit more of a cautious perspective compared to the euro and the pound. Because the Aussie here, we can see that we are, kind of like in a consolidating corrective development. While short term, we may see that possibility where price can actually push higher towards again at 15,618, then maybe the drop. But what we are lacking here is that impulsive move, right? So we did see the impulsive move again on the pound. You can see very sharp move to the upside. Euro is even clearer. Okay. But Aussie really not there, right? Because you can see this is pushing up, but then the pullback is also very, very deep. That's that slight difference where I'm not too confident on the Aussie. Okay. So Aussie dollar here, while we are expecting that pullback, towards the upside, I don't think I would be more. I don't think I will be looking too much into like executing any trade on the Aussie dollar for this week. Okay. Then moving forward, we have the dollar Canadian. Okay, so dollar Canadian over here, what we're looking at is short term. We are expecting the pullback, right? So if I kind of put the fib here, from swing high to swing low, sorry. Okay, we are expecting short term the market to pull back towards the zone around 1.3820, 1.3830. And then to complete a simple three wave move, right? 1, 2, 3 down towards 1.3730. So short term this week, right? The expectation here is the pullback, and short term here we can look to sell. So if you go down to the hourly time frame on the dollar Canadian, we do have a setup here that is developing as well. Okay, if we can get the price to pull back correctively towards 1.3840, right? That will give us a sell trade opportunity with stops above that swing high, and then target here again conservatively at the swing low. If not, you can go for a little bit more towards the higher time frame 50 and 618 zone, right? So that will put you around risk reward ratio of 1.27. Sorry, 2.7. If you just aim for here, is generally is about 1:2. Okay, so yeah. Okay, dollar Canadian, definitely something that you can pay attention to as well. There's a very high probability we can get involved in this particular trade. Okay, yeah, so that's on the dollar Canadian. Next up here is the dollar yen. Dollar yen, very, very similar to dollar CAD in a way where we get an impulsive push. Moving forward, if you can get a corrective pullback, again, that will open up a sell trade opportunity, right? If the price can comes into this territory, we'll be looking to sell. So yeah, this is again another one that you can pay attention to on the lower time frame. Okay. The thing here is you might need to just be a little bit more patient on this, right? Kind of start to analyze a little bit. This would be a change in character, right? Of course, you can see the massive market imbalance over here, which is the fair gap. If I take fibs from swing high to swing low, Okay, usually we look at entry point around the 67 Fib, which is the 149.50, right? Which is quite a bit of a distance now, right? Because the market is trading around 147.60, which is about close to 200 pips. So it might take some time for this setup to actually play out. Okay, but you can definitely have this in your watch list for this week, right? Maybe as the market continues to develop and pull back correctively, towards the end of this week, we might get an opportunity to get involved in it on the sell side. Okay, now the target here is just simply looking at the overall structure and expecting the market to come back down towards the bottom of the channel. Right, so very straightforward kind of expectation on dollar yen. Then we have gold. Okay, gold I'm actually maintaining a neutral point of view this week. Because if you take a look at gold here, right, what we have is the dotted line here as a channel, right, where the market came down, pulled back very correctively, made an impulsive drop. Last Friday, NFP pushed this up with momentum. So right now it's reacting off the 618. But to me, it's a little bit too early to make a call as to whether we want to sell it, with expectation on this, right? If the market actually rejects this impulsively and starts to pull back correctively, then yeah, okay, we can definitely then expect this to go down in the near term. But I also want to be cautious because this reaction can just simply be some sort of a corrective pullback. If that's the case, this can develop something like that. There are many variations. If this is corrective in itself, it can even push higher, and that's it, start breaking higher, and then this is the end of it as a correction. Okay. So gold as of this week right now, based on the price development as of where we are seeing it, I would personally just be patient on it, right? So I'm not gonna rush into like, having to make a call in terms of the direction on gold. I'll probably just put this aside for the week and then focus on those others that I've highlighted earlier. Okay, so gold setup, probably the verdict over here, right? The conclusion on gold is just be patient for this week, right? Then if you go over to silver, silver is a little bit cleaner than gold in terms of the structure expectation, right? So if you take a look at silver over here, we do have price, breaking that previous high and then coming back down impulsively, taking out that low as well. So a very, very classic SMC structure, right? Liquidity sweep, break of structure. Then of course, if you look at this here, we have the order block confluencing the 15 and 618 Fib as well. So if this week we can see price pulls back, right, towards the 15 and 618 on the 4-hour time frame, we can look for sell trade setup here. Okay, meaning you can go down to the lower time frame on the H1 and start to look up for sell setup when price enter the key area, the point of interest. Okay, so the whole idea on this here is basically from a high time frame, we identify a structure, a directional bias, and then we go down to the lower time frame to look up for execution, our trade setup, right? The conditions that we need to see so that we know where to put our stops, targets, and take profit. Okay. Yeah, so this is what I'm looking at for silver. Okay. So this one here, potentially a setup maybe closer towards the end of the week instead. Okay. Next up is crude oil. Okay, so crude oil here is moving in line with our expectation. We are expecting price to continue lower and potentially take out this low, right? We had this impulsive lick here as well, very nicely reaction. So crude oil moving forward, if we can get some sort of a corrective move back up as a pullback, you can definitely look at it as a sell. Okay. Yeah, so this one here is something you can keep an eye on as well, but I think it's just a little bit too early today. Again, maybe this is something that would set up closer towards the end of the week. Okay, definitely into your watch list. But as of for the next 1 or 2 days, there are more things that probably would make more sense to pay attention first. Okay. Yeah. So that's on crude oil. S&P 500. Okay. NFP. You can see that price actually came down very very sharp towards the low point here. Okay, and kind of reacted off that with an impulsive bounce, right? So a V-shaped formation. So because of that V shape, right, and of course with market testing a key area, any sort of a corrective pullback here will start to anticipate more upside, right? Which means that you want to definitely look out for buy trade opportunity moving forward if you can get a corrective pullback, right? So the prerequisite, of course, is to wait for price to pull back. Okay, you don't want to be buying at the top because then if you put buy here, your stop to go here, your risk reward is not going to make sense. Okay, so that's on S&P. Then we have the pound yen. Again, last week NFP came down very very sharply. Okay, so as of now, it's kind of testing the key level, but didn't really give a very clear reaction as of whether, this is going to be an impulsive bounce up, this is going to be a crawl, okay, or is this just going to be a corrective pullback? Right now, we don't have that information. Okay, so you probably want to be patient and wait out for that. Once we get either of this formation, then it gives us more clarity in terms of like what's next. Okay, that's why right now this one we're gonna just be patient on it. Okay, so pretty straightforward. Odd yen, more or less the same. We had this expectation of a channel. The market is testing the bottom of it, but we did not get a clear reaction of that at this very moment. So again, this one here probably just gonna maintain neutral. We'll see how things gonna develop next, right? So that's nothing that we need to rush anyway. Okay. Pound odd more or less again neutral as well. You can see huge consolidation. No clarity in terms of the direction, so we just leave this. Okay. Probably don't want to spend too much time on it anyway because things are just not clear. Okay, and can we remove this? Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin here is bullish bias. However, okay, one thing you want to be careful of is the reaction of this 618 isn't technically very impulsive. Okay, it's a pretty decent reaction. However, if you go down to the lower time frame, we don't really see any sort of a market imbalance, right? This move up, there's no clear momentum candle. Okay, that's something that I will be very careful because it means that potentially this can still come back down, right? Maybe break that low, then that impulsive leg, right? You always want to wait for some sort of an impulsive move, right? So you can see all this example here, this one, this one, this one. You want to really see that impulsive move to give us that confirmation that yeah, the market is indeed starting to go higher. Then only you look for an opportunity to jump in. Okay, so for now, Bitcoin has that potential, but you want to just be cautious on it, right? So if I were to sum up a little bit, right, what you want to focus on this week will be those that I've highlighted in red. Those are definitely higher opportunities, setups that would likely give us a trade within the week. Okay, and then there are a couple that are mentioned worth monitoring, worth adding into your watch list, like silver, okay, like the S&P, and then this few here you probably just want to add it into your watch list. Monitor how price is going to develop as I've described. If it goes in line with what we expect, then that's where the opportunity kicks in. All right, so yeah, I hope this is clear. And of course, today's live session over here give you an idea like what to focus, what to prepare, and give you an idea on it. Okay. Good. Okay, so generally that's all that I have. In terms of the outlook for this week, as well as the trade opportunities that you want to pay attention to. Okay, so all the best for the week, and as usual, I'll see you guys in next week's session. Okay,